There is one running back in this draft class that completely stands out compared to the rest of them, and that's Ashton Jeanty. He can be compared to some of the top running backs that have been drafted early over the last 10 years, and we're going to discuss that in a little bit. But JM, we saw the big impacts that running backs made this season, and that was because teams decided, hey, we're going to pay running backs. Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs. Are we going to see teams be ultra aggressive to go up and get a guy like Ashton Jeanty and say, hey, this guy is the missing piece on our offense?
Yeah, 100%. It was a great year for running backs, the best year you could remember in recent history, or maybe history in general. The way it was trending, and year after year, we were told that running backs are not valuable, that they're very replaceable, that Super Bowl winning teams never pay running backs and have great running backs. And obviously Saquon Barkley put that all to bed with the Philadelphia Eagles this year, being the one of the top names off the market, him or Derrick Henry this past offseason at the running back position and winning a Super Bowl. So I think teams see that. They see the way that Jalen Hurts improved, that offense in general improved and almost got a whole new identity in their offense. I think that teams are going to be extremely aggressive to go get Ashton Jeanty.
Saquon specifically, right? And he's the best running back in football. He was one of the top prospects we've seen as a running back out of college in a very long time. But what he did for that offense at times when we saw them stalling, when A.J. Brown was banged up or wasn't on the same page with Jalen Hurts, and Devonta Smith was banged up for a couple of weeks, and they just kind of weren't the same offense that we had seen in previous seasons. Saquon was the reason why everything stuck together, even after a tough beginning. He was consistent all year, and they were fantastic. Josh Jacobs was the missing piece when, what's his name? Jordan Love got hurt. There we go.
Yeah.
Jordan Love got hurt. Jacobs stepped in, and they won. Did they lose a game when
no?
Love was
Malik
hurt?
Willis went 2-1, or maybe he went 1-1. I believe he went 2-0 actually. But anyways. During the middle of the season there, when Jordan Love was having his struggles and that Packers passing game was having his struggles, Josh Jacobs was almost carrying that offense. I mean, you remember the San Francisco game, he had 3 touchdowns, and they were giving him the ball constantly, and it seemed like he was always falling forward, and once they got down to the goal line, it was almost a guaranteed touchdown. And we talked about Saquon. Even in the Super Bowl, Saquon had a very lackluster performance compared to what he did all year, but he still made an impact because they always had to worry about him and have defenders covering him or having defenders in the box and worrying that he might break off that big run. And it resulted in Jalen Hurts having a big day. So I didn't even discuss Derrick Henry yet. Is it a coincidence that Lamar Jackson, even though he didn't win the MVP and he has 2 of them already, just had the best season he's had in his career statistics-wise as a passer because of Derrick Henry? I don't think that's a coincidence. So I think teams are seeing that the way that you get these running backs, pair them in a dynamic offense, that it could drastically improve your offense.
I'm looking at the teams in the top 10, top 12 here. There aren't many of them that need quarterbacks. Right, and we saw last season a lot of teams, as a siren goes by here. A lot of teams, it was the top 16 picks last year, all went offense.
Yes.
I don't think we're going to see that this season, but a lot of teams are going to prioritize defense. I think early it's a better defensive draft as well. I can't see a team, even though, of course, he's a top 5 prospect on the big board. You see top 5, top 10 prospect. Is there a team in the top 10 that you could envision taking him?
Well, it's tough because a lot of these teams, while I do think that running backs, like we said, was a great season for them, and I think they're going to start to get valued again among front offices and among analysts and everything else. If you don't have a quarterback, it's obviously the most important position in the sport and in sports in general. I don't know if getting a running back is the best decision to make, but if there was one team that I would pick, it would be the Chicago Bears. I know that they have, some needs, and that offensive line seems like it's been bad for 10 years now. Mm-hmm. But if Ben Johnson knows anything about good running backs, it's because he came from Detroit, where they had a selection of Jahmyr Gibbs that wasn't very popular. They had signed David Montgomery to a deal earlier that offseason, and the Lions at that point were not the team they are now and viewed as a playoff contender and a Super Bowl contender. And when they drafted Gibbs, it was like, you got another running back? You
Yeah.
already have that running back. And obviously, it worked out. Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the premier running backs in the league, and you see all that he does for that offense. So if the Bears take care of their line in free agency or some other team needs in free agency and think that Ashton Jeanty can unlock Caleb Williams' full potential and take some of that pressure off of him and open up the field for him because teams have to account for Ashton Jeanty, I could see that happening.
That's interesting. I didn't think of the Bears because we obviously know they have so many needs.
Yeah. And
That's
DeAndre Swift is bad.
That's a very interesting fit. There's one team early that has a need, but I mean they didn't just pay. They didn't pass on Josh Jacobs just to draft a running back 6th, even though it's a new regime over there, new head coach. I think a new GM. Yeah, new GM. They just hired a new GM. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to make that selection at 6, the Raiders.
That would be very interesting.
But the Bears make sense. Obviously, the Cowboys make a ton of sense at 12. That's outside of the top 10. I'll tell you what. You know where I want to see him? Like, where he would thrive? The perfect situation.
The perfect situation. So it's a team that is ready to win.
Ready to win.
Doesn't have a running back.
They don't have a running back.
All right, let me just...
Can you guess it?
I don't... Okay, so it's not going to be Buffalo. James Cook just had a great season.
It's not
Buffalo. Cincinnati is potential. I mean, Chase Brown just had a great year.
No, I wouldn't say Cincinnati.
I don't know if it'd be Cincinnati.
NFC team.
NFC team. All right. The Bucks, Bucky Irving just had a great season. The Packers have Josh Jacobs. The 49ers could potentially, but
you think there's a chance? I've seen that. You think there's a chance?
No, they would not do that. But like CMC, the injuries but he's still under contract. Arizona.
Put you on
Washington.
The spot. I did not have Washington. No, that was not the perfect situation.
Okay. Minnesota
would be the perfect situation. Good.
Okay.
Obviously, we know about the passing game, good offensive line. For the rookie quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, if he's going to take over, that'd be the perfect spot for Jeanty to go there in a good situation. KOC, they're going to want to run the ball. He comes from the McVay-Shanahan tree. They want to run the football. It's a run offense, run first offense.
Maybe not because it's a new GM. Maybe if Mike Mayock was still there. This whole Raiders thing,
you like
sounds
the Raiders?
Kind of funny to me with Ashton Jeanty.
6
because if you're sitting there as the Raiders and you're like, all right, we're not going to get our quarterback here, right? Ashton Jeanty and Brock Bowers is a pretty damn good young nucleus of weapons we got here.
They'd be following the Atlanta Falcons way of building a team.
Right.
Ignore everything else and take tight end and running back early in the draft.
The Kyle Pitts breakout. That should be coming up soon.
What pick? It was they had the 12th pick last year, the Raiders, or the 11th pick.
Yeah.
So they had the 12th pick, and then this year 6th pick go running back, and the Falcons went 8-4 with a running back and tight end. How to not build a football team?
That Pitts pick is that's just awful. Fantasy, real life, whichever one you want to pick, it's awful.
Let's look at these running backs over the past few years, right? We'll leave it at a decade. 6 running backs taken in the top 10. Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, and Todd Gurley. If we were going to rank these guys and add Ashton Jeanty into this, right? Where do they rank 1 through 7 in terms of prospect going into the draft?
Well, it's funny.
How do they rank?
Before I rank them, it's funny. All those names you mentioned shows you that running back's a pretty safe position when it comes to these big-time prospects because all those guys turned out to have pretty damn good careers. Obviously, some were a little more short-lived with injuries, but all their peaks.
We go back early. Trent Richardson.
The Browns count, though?
Yeah, you're right. I said Trent there. I almost said Grisham. Trent Richardson.
This is tough because they were all great prospects coming into the draft, but you got to rank them somehow. So, last 7th of the including Ashton Jeanty of this group, I'm putting CMC.
Wow.
There were obviously he didn't end up being last in terms of careers, but there were some concerns about McCaffrey coming into the draft of where he was going to end up. Can he be a true 3-down back in the NFL? You know, was he going to be used more as a pass catching back, a guy used on special teams? At Stanford, he did it all right. He was an all-purpose back. But there were those concerns of, can he handle a full workload in the NFL? Sixth, I have Todd Gurley. Was a great prospect out of Georgia, ended up being a very high pick for the Rams, and ended up having a great career. But to me, this is where he falls. He's not as impressive coming out as some of these other guys are. Bijan Robinson, I have fifth. Bijan was a little bit of not as much of a household college name to me as some of these other guys were. But as you were approaching the draft and reading and looking at the tape and getting all the pro day and combine stuff, you were like, wow, okay.
This guy's impressive.
This guy's a beast. Jeanty, I have fourth here. And for some reason that feels wrong, because I don't know if there's been such a hyped guy coming in, except maybe Saquon. But to me, Jeanty is still fourth. Maybe it's because he's a Boise State guy and didn't play in national championship games like Zeke did.
Right.
But that's who I have third is Zeke. He was great at Ohio State. Very highly talked about. Was basically a superstar and before he even got drafted, and then ends up in Dallas, obviously having a great career there, and is now back there, but done. Is he done? Is he done? Is we finally done with Zeke? Didn't we cut him?
I would hope we're done
And
with
he
Zeke.
was like talked about as signing with the playoff team, and then nobody signed him, and he'll
Right.
probably be a coach soon, whatever.
Yeah.
But good for Zeke.
Cut.
You know, number two, I have Leonard Fournette, and some people might think that's high.
I think it's high.
His tape was the most impressive tape I've seen out of a college running back, maybe ever. I mean, the guy's explosiveness out of the hole and ability to run over defenders at LSU was absolutely absurd. I thought he was going to be a no doubt like Hall of Fame running back. Ended up still having a great career. Unfortunate with some injuries and some other stuff and some drama in Jacksonville a little bit, but had a second resurgence with the Bucs and becoming playoff Lenny. And then number one, he's the number one running back in the NFL right now, and he's just a ridiculous talent. It's Saquon Barkley. I don't think I need to say much. The guy ended up being the second overall pick. He got picked over Sam Darnold. We remember that. The Giants needed a quarterback at the time with Eli about to walk out the door, and they still selected Saquon. Yeah, I don't think I have to go on too much about that.
Yeah, we don't need to do more.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Fournette over Zeke is definitely interesting because I remember and I'll talk about it with Zeke. I remember there not being a running back at the time where I would have even considered taking somebody that high, and Zeke was that much of a difference maker at Ohio State. So I'll get into my list. I have Gurley at 7. This might just be because I'm having like a blank. I can't remember exactly what kind of prospect he was out of college, but I just don't remember being that much hype.
There was not.
Number 6, I had Bijan. Bijan was a ultra talented player. I think the only running back taken in the first round that season. I'd have to go back and look, but we knew the tape was great at Texas. He was explosive. Bijan at 6, again, not too much hype, but obviously a top 10 pick and was highly thought of. I have Jeanty here at 5. I mean, again, when you have somebody, even though it's a weak class, I look at most big boards, and he's in the top 5 in most of them. That's impressive, and we saw what he did last season in college. It was just an unbelievable season that many people thought should have won him the Heisman and did not, obviously, to Travis Hunter. Number 4, I have CMC. I mean, we know about what he did at...
Oh, that's a hot take to me. Having CMC over Jeanty to me is a hot take.
I mean, he was unbelievable.
He was
did everything at Stanford.
Yes, agreed. He was a great college player. We know about his performance in the Rose Bowl. Like, he was awesome. But to me, the college career, the season just now of Jeanty and the profile of a 3-down back, I don't know if I could say that C-Mac was a better prospect.
Maybe I'm giving...
I will see. The people decide. I guess maybe I'm wrong here.
I'm having maybe I'm having too much of a recency bias against Jeanty. I don't want to be, he's the top guy. I want to put him so high, but I put CMC. I just remember him being just all-around great player at Stanford and a top 10 pick. Number 3, I had Fournette. Obviously, we remember what he did at LSU. You talked about it. It was very impressive. I can't put him over Zeke or Saquon, but still had a great career and was amazing and an exciting player at LSU.
Didn't he run like a 4.4
He's a freak.
at that size?
He's a freak athlete.
He's who else is bald with a full beard running a 4.4 at that size in college? And you're like, oh, yeah, no, he's not going to be a good player. No. He was ridiculous.
What pick was he?
He was the 7th pick. He went before CMC.
Right.
Or sorry, maybe CMC was the 7th pick.
I
know he went before CMC.
I think for whatever reason, I didn't look at this before. I think CMC was the 8th pick. See if I'm right.
2017, correct?
Yeah.
2017 NFL draft. Leonard Fournette was 4th. CMC was 8th.
Look at that memory.
Yep.
He went
pretty good.
4th.
Just after. Listen to this. CMC 8, John Ross 9, Patrick Mahomes 10.
That's good.
It's pretty good. Two of those guys ended up having good careers. We'll let you figure out who's who.
That's good. Zeke, I had at number 2. I think the fact that Zeke played such a big part in a big-time national championship. It was the first college football playoff win. It was the first season outside of the BCS championship, BS, right? The two teams. That run that he had, I mean, literally the run that he had in the postseason and the run that he had in that championship game against Oregon. Yeah. I mean, I remember it vividly. Maybe it's a bias towards my memory of college football that year. I don't know. But either way, he was a highly touted prospect. Although, I was very against the pick. I thought they should have taken Jalen Ramsey that year.
Yeah.
That was very much for Jalen Ramsey.
That was a great draft class. Joey Bosa was in that draft class as well.
And obviously, I don't have to go on. Number 1 is Saquon. I'm not even going to explain it.
That pretty much explains it.
There we go.